Hi, so today in the second episode of my 10 Minutes With series, we're having a look at this MXR Reverb pedal. It's one of those pedals that looks really simple, but actually has a couple of hidden features, and everything it does do is just really useful. Now, it's a high quality pedal made with audiophile parts, as they say. It's really good for professional and studio use. Now, just to quickly show you how it works, we have a decay and mix knobs, which do what they say, the amount of wet signal coming through on the mix and the length of the decay you can change. And then we have a tone, so the higher it goes, the more high end you get. And we change the 6 different modes by pressing down on this, and it goes from one to the next. Now I'm going to show you the 6 different modes with short clips, with a couple of different settings of decay, mix and tone on each one. I'll explain each one as we go along, and then at the end of the video I'm going to tell you a couple of hidden features about this pedal that make it even more of an interesting proposition. This video might well go to more like 13 or 14 minutes. There's quite a lot of stuff going on here. The last thing to say though is that the power requirement, although 9-volt power is required, it's 240 milliamps, and a lot of pedal supplies might only go to 200. So just double check what you have. Mine didn't work for a while until I figured that out. So let's start off with the amp tone. I've used an amp that has no reverb, which I think makes sense for this. Okay, we start with studio plate reverb, which is essentially the idea of a large sheet of metal, a plate, where a signal is sent into the plate and it reverberates and smears the sound across that large plane of metal, and that's picked up by some sort of contact microphone. I think this is a really great effect, not something I'd played before, and this is what it sounds like. Now we've got spring reverb. This is basically like the spring reverb in your amplifier, if you have that. The next one is what they call epic, and that is essentially multiple interconnected delays that are all added in together and create that sort of larger reverb effect. Not something I've come across before. This one called mod is another type of plate reverb. So unlike the first one, which is classic plate reverb, this is a modulated reverb. this one called Room replicates a small room, early reflection point slapback sort of sound. Actually, one of my favorite sounds. I think it would work really well with a sort of bluesy track. And actually reminds me of an old vinyl album I have from a band called Savoy Brown. You may not have heard of them, or you may have done. It's just a really interesting tone to the way it was recorded. The last one is called Pad, and I think this relates to a sort of synthesizer effect. In this case, there's an octave up and an octave down, and actually using the tone knob for this particular effect, you can affect how much of the octave up or octave down, depending on where you put it. It's a massive effect. It doesn't really sound like a guitar sort of thing, but I'm sure some people can find a use for it. I had a bit of fun playing around. I probably wasn't playing the right sort of music to make the most effective of it, but in the past I have sat around and played sort of big ambient sounds with it, and it can be a lot of fun. Okay, time is pretty much up, but as I said at the beginning, there are a few hidden features in this pedal which I think really make it worth the money. You can have an expression pedal attached here, and essentially what you would do is in the heel down position you would set the lower sort of parameter that you want, push it into the toe forward position, put these at the upper parameter that you want, and then you can sweep between them, but you can't change through the different types of reverb using the expression pedal. Secondly, this pedal can be used in stereo mode. If you open up the back, there is actually a toggle switch, and then you just have to use a split TRS cable and attach it to 2 amps, and then you get true stereo reverb. Okay, lastly, 2 other hidden features. The first one is, for me, the most useful thing, and that's called trail bypass mode. So you can change the pedal such that when you turn it off, mid-playing, for example, the trail of the reverb you were using carries on naturally until it would finish with that decay setting. In all the demos, I'd been using normal bypass mode, and although I've mostly cut those bits off, when you would turn off the pedal, the trail would stop immediately. So I'm going to show you how you access this. It's called startup mode, and it's a little bit fiddly, and then I'm going to just show you a quick example of that trail bypass mode. In order to access the trail bypass and the wet modes, you have to go into startup mode. They say put these 2 knobs at around 12 o'clock, then turn it back on whilst holding down on the tone button. Wait for that to happen. Now, green mode is in normal bypass, red mode is in trail bypass. So let's hear what that sounds like. The other hidden mode is called wet mode, and it goes into 100% wet signal. I tried this off camera, and I personally don't really understand why you would use it. You couldn't really even hear the guitar. It was just the reverb itself somehow coming off there. I'm not really sure what you'd use it for, but it's there if you need it. But yeah, this trail mode really makes this a very usable pedal in live settings because the reverb doesn't just stop automatically. Okay, well that's the end of this one. I hope you've enjoyed it. For me, this pedal is a big thumbs up, very useful, sort of almost utilitarian reverb pedal, but really great sounding, high quality sound, works well with other pedals. Reasonably easy to use once you've just figured out startup mode, and with those stereo and expression pedal options, I just think, you know, they've thought of so many things and stuck it in this little box. So if you've enjoyed that, please give it a thumbs up. See you next time. Cheers.